Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Guinness World Records Gamers Podcast. I'm your host and games editor Mike Plant, and with me is Luke Wakeham, our very own gaming records manager.
Hello.
And Andy Loughlin,
Hello.
our journalist with gaming intent.
Yeah, high caliber journalist, I think is what you're looking for.
So we've got a great show for you this week. We've got our regular What We've Been Playing section. We'll go through some of this week's big games. A lot of news actually this week. You might have to get rid of some of these. There's a whole lot on here.
Are you just going to bin off stories? Like,
Not good enough.
Just going to pretend, bury my head in the sand and pretend it never happened. We've got our listener letter this week on the Harry Potter's new ventures.
Very exciting.
And also on the record with you, which will be all about Monster Hunter's
Indeed.
15th anniversary. Oof, 15 short years.
15th anniversary. That does seem. I guess it does make sense.
Yeah,
I see that Turok 2 has been released on the Switch. Do you see? I think. Oh, was it Turok?
Dinosaurs everywhere this week.
And it was the first. It's the first 64 game I think on the Switch.
Yeah,
apparently.
okay, cool.
Why you chose that one? I don't know.
Anyway,
classic.
shall we shall we get on with the show?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, what have we been playing this week? Who wants to go first? Actually, you can, because Luke has been playing probably arguably the biggest game of the week, which was
Devil May Cry 5. Yeah. I was very excited about this game. I've been a bit of a Devil May Cry fan. I played the first, which was supposed to be Resident Evil 4, I believe. So it's kind of like a Resident Evil cousin of some sort, but sort of spun off into its own series. I think it's also kind of credited with sort of helping kickstart the action hack and slash genre. I know that Diablo a little bit is considered that beforehand.
It's more RPG. I never understood why Diablo is considered a hack and
Neither
slash.
have I, really.
Genre watch.
But basically being a mashup of sort of a third-person perspective and fighting game mechanics. And, Devil May Cry is credited with being the start of all that.
Yeah, I remember being so excited the first time I ever saw Devil May Cry on the PS2. I got the demo disc of it, and it was just the first little bit of it. And the graphics at the time, unbelievably good.
It's very, very cool. And I remember the second one was a bit of a letdown. I do remember playing the third one. I remember the third one being really hard, but really good. Lots of different mechanics for the combat. The fourth being a little bit of a sort of letdown because it kind of had the Metal Gear Solid 2 effect of a different protagonist for most of the game.
I remember the fourth one, so I didn't really play the second and third one, and I thought I couldn't pick it up because the story thread was just so off. And I guess it was for everybody in a way, because was that the one that had Nero? For the
you start off pretty much the first half of the game you play as Nero, and then you switch over into Dante. I didn't think it was too bad. I don't remember loads about it. But then there was also the reboot of DMC, which was done by Ninja Theory.
Didn't go down well.
Didn't go down well.
I liked it though; it was good.
Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with the game. Again, it was kind of like action game, really deep fighting mechanics. I think DMC was a little bit more accessible with its mechanics.
Was it after Bayonetta? Because it feels like it's really close to Bayonetta.
I think it was very close because they were both previous generation games, I believe.
Bayonetta was like PS3 and Wii U, was it that it came out?
Did not come on the Xbox. No, it did.
It might have
come on the Xbox.
But Bayonetta kind of beat it up.
I think just for sheer spectacle.
Yeah.
But the idea, I guess, behind the Devil May Cry 3 was that the fighting mechanics were a lot deeper. In Bayonetta, it's quite easy to sort of like pick up and just instantly be able to do ridiculous moves. Where in Devil May Cry, it was always a case of there's a little bit more nuance to the combat. And so enters in Devil May Cry 5, which is kind of very much a sort of return to form. So there are 3 separate characters that you can play as. You've got your Dante. He's a kind of a jack of all trades. He's pretty much so much combat mix-up. He's got 4 different weapons, 4 different styles. He's just insane with the possibilities of comboing that you can do with Dante. You've got Nero again. He is a bit more kind of like the classic Dante, which is just kind of a sword, guns, but he also has like a robotic arm that can switch out for lots of different types of special moves.
Yeah, so I played a little bit of it myself over the weekend, and that's like there's so much
mind-boggling.
you can do,
Honestly.
right?
Yeah.
Like Inspector Gadget.
You can also
A
do
little
like
bit, yeah.
a scorpion style get over here thing and like yank people towards him. So you can chain together, knocking them up into the air, dragging them down to you, whacking them up in the air again.
Oh, right. The one I was interested in was the new guy.
V.
Now that looks a bit odd.
It's weird. He's kind of like a summoner. So you have sort of two familiars, one that is a kind of like a black jaguar, and one that is a crow. The crow speaks and says lippy things.
All right.
But that
Pieces of eight.
he takes a little bit of getting used to, because your sort of main role as the sort of controllable character is to kind of run away from things and just sort of make sure that your familiar is in the right position to do their attacks. But because every time you dodge, you use one of your familiars to dodge with you. So if you're attacking someone with the cat, and then you do a side dodge, it'll suck the cat away from whoever you're attacking and uses you to dodge, and then you've got to kind of send it back in. So you've got to be really quite strategic with how you position yourself playing as V.
Right.
But all of this kind of adds up to an experience where you've got there's so many mechanics, there's lots of things going on in this game, that it is actually very enjoyable. The story is kind of cheesy. It's all of this type of stuff is based on, Dante's Divine Comedy, and it's all heaven and hell and demons and stuff like that.
There's a big tree.
There's a big tree attacking the planet.
Right. I don't remember that in the Divine Comedy.
Moving on.
Can you select which character? Because I didn't get very far in the game at all. So is there points where you can say, okay, I want to be Nero here, or does the game tell you who you're going to be?
I've played, I think, the first 10 missions so far, and there's only been one instance where I've been able to switch between the two, or choose which character I want to go into the mission as. So I think very much that you start off as Nero and then you progress to V, but then I think you basically get to Dante at the end when you're kind of used to this overabundance of combat mechanics flying around. I'm playing on human mode. Basically I was just like, base difficulty, I'll use it kind of just to get a feel of what is going on. It's far too easy. It's so easy.
Yeah, I started on the harder one just because...
Devil Hunter?
Yeah, because it kind of says to you, like...
Typical mine.
I do. But it says to you, like, have you played a Devil May Cry before? Like, it's like no for the easy one or yes for the hard one. Essentially, I was like, well, yeah, I have. I mean, I know what a hack and slash game is. I have made it through, Ninja Gaiden or whatever. I can kind of play a bit.
Yeah.
So I stuck it on hard.
I think it's kind of strange because with these types of games, especially with Devil May Cry, there's the sort of style ranking thing where you've got to perform well, and if you perform well you get a good ranking, which means you get lots of good orbs for upgrading. And so if you don't do very well, if you're playing outside of your difficulty, if you're not performing well enough, you don't get the orbs to therefore upgrade your character. So that's why I was kind of like, I'm going to start on easy and have a power up run, should we call it, to see if I can get all the the good upgrades in and then progress to the harder difficulties. Because I think that's kind of the point of this game, is that it's not supposed to be an experience that lasts 60 hours. As you sort of have to constantly trudge through and do side objectives and stuff like that. You're playing it mission by mission, and you've got to do the best you can do at each mission. It's kind of almost like a Tony Hawk game in that sort of sense.
It's all about style in the end.
You're sort of running through a different area, and then you've got to sort of rack up your style points and see how good you can do, challenge yourself to do better each time. And I think this type of game, especially what Capcom's been doing at the moment, this and Resident Evil 2, is almost like the opposite of the live service game. Because if you compare this to, say, something like Destiny or Anthem, where they're really long loot-based experiences that are supposed to be ongoing forever and ever, whereas this is a case of like short little campaigns where it's like the replayability comes from you playing them again on much harder difficulties to become better and better and better and better, because there's so much to get into when it comes to the combat.
It's like the third tier. So you've got the Ubisoft style of game, which is like single player generally, but
Open
go on
world.
forever and ever and ever.
Check things off the map and
the Assassin's Creed series being the perfect example. And then like you say, you've got the game as service with Anthem and Destiny, and then you've got this, which Sony is doing too to an extent, where you've got like quite shorter, like slightly shorter games, but you're supposed to get better and better and better at them, and like you said, like power up all your stuff and everything. So to me, they're the games that I actually come back to because I can actually beat them in a time that
feels slightly more manageable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So rather than it being like a never-ending story type thing, it's more just like
Great film.
Shame about the sequel.
With the big dog.
But yeah, but what the good thing is it's about getting good at the sort of game itself rather than the game becoming a bit of a slog.
What it's made me do is want to buy Bayonetta on Switch.
Want to go back to all these hack and slash games.
It's
That's
such
not
a good
really
game.
an endorsement, is it? It's like, this made me want to play another game.
Well, no, just because at the moment I've got my Switch more than my PlayStation.
Right,
on me,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like I wanted to play that style of game. It uses the Resident Evil 2 engine. It
RE
mustn't it?
engine, yeah.
It looks really good. Like
Yeah.
the graphics are pretty sublime all the way through.
It
but-
runs smoothly as well. You'll need it for something like this
That
that can be this chaotic.
Yeah. It's got really good reviews, hasn't it, actually?
I think a lot of people have been saying that it's like, thank goodness it's a video game. It's kind of it feels very much like a video game. It's like it's all action, like all the characters. I mean, there is a story there is some character development, but they're all just saying one-liners constantly, and it's just so over the top. The character that is your shop, the lady in the van.
Yeah, I've totally forgot.
Nico,
her name.
is it
Yeah,
Nico?
that might be.
I love the fact that whenever you see a phone box, you can call her to your location, but she just seems to arrive out of the complete random areas. She either just comes from somewhere unknown off a building or up through the floor.
She's the
Like,
equivalent of what you.
how did you get there?
Why do you
That's
buy
like
it?
the guy in Mafia 3 who delivers your ammo just like tears up in an orange van. And he just run me over one time, and he'll just stop in the middle of the road and open his doors and go, right, there's all the guns, what do you want? And you're like, come on.
This is exactly the same, but
daylight.
it's obviously being silly.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
kind of the fun thing about
That
it.
wasn't
it's,
silly. That was like
Super
straight
serious.
face. This is probably what happened in 1970s, 60s America, or whatever it is. But yeah, that sounds interesting. I know it's not my kind of game. So
right.
It's just not my kind of game. But I
Because you have to be quite good at games. To play.
yeah, you have to have like really good reactions.
We've got to dig deep, I think, for this, because there's
Yeah.
stuff in this, like there's jump cancelling that you can do to really keep your combos going, in the same way that you can learn fighting games and like really dig deep into the mechanics. This is the same sort of thing here, but with a sort of a PvE as opposed to two, like 1-on-1 or 3-on-3.
No, it is good. It'd be interesting to see what the numbers get like in terms of like combo like amount of hits without anything happening to you. Because there'll be, I suppose it'll get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds by this.
I think it's kind of, again, like a sort of high score chasing type game as well.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of videos of people saying like perfect run, like Dante must die difficulty. People just going nuts with like desperately trying to like showing off how good they are at the game.
It's only been out a few days.
Yeah, I know.
Future record.
Yeah, potentially. One for Stop Press maybe, because we're in the midst of the book at the moment.
In the midst.
Yeah.
Any more on Devil May Cry 5?
No, that's it. I'm looking forward to delving back in. I really want to get to the point where I can play as Dante and really sort of go to town, because his character is the one that I've seen that is the sort of like, right, you've gotten used to how this game plays, now let's really open it up.
Well, he can Hulk out as the big devil thing as well, can't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Who can complain about that?
Who can?
You know.
I've been playing an interesting little game called Beat Cop, which is by Pixel Crow, published by 11-Bit Studios. So the idea is it's like every 80s cop show you've ever seen.
Nice.
So the game's it's all pixel art, which it looks really good. Quite sort of pulled back pixel art. I'll get to that in a minute. But the intro starts off and you're kind of a detective coming into this jewels theft in a mansion or something, and this is just the intro, so you can just not really a spoiler. And the jewels have gone when you get there, and you kind of get like busted down to beat cop because they suspect that you've taken the jewels. So you start off on your first day, and you're in like the police station, being told to go and do parking tickets and all this, and you've got to go out. So you basically are walking the beat down this one long street, which is made up of, in old-fashioned terms, about 10 screens worth of things. So there's like shops, there's a road with cars going up and down it, there's two rival gangs, the Mafia and kind of like the local kind of gang. And what you have to do is like, they'll try and bribe you, and you can say yes or no, but it's completely up to you how you want to be on the beat.
Yeah.
You can help people, you can arrest people, you can give people tickets, you can check their tires and give them a ticket because their tires are worn and all this stuff.
Nice.
And then they'll come up to you and like, oh no, let me off, and you can kind of give them. They essentially let you bribe them.
So you can be
let them bribe
horribly corrupt.
Or you can have the option to say, okay, I'll let you off and not take the bribe, or you can just book them like a policeman would do.
And each one's got consequences.
Yeah, and so you build up your reputation day in, day out, and you might end up being really affiliated with the mob, and the way the whole game starts taking shape changes then. And then occasionally the head of the police will come and sort of talk to you, and then they're trying to get information because they think you stole the jewels.
Yeah.
And you don't actually, as the player, you don't know if you stole the jewels or not really. I guess it's like I'm only a few hours into it, so there's a lot of intrigue going on. And at the same time, your wife has left you, and you've got to
It's
settle
tough
up the,
being a cop.
Yeah.
You've got to settle up the alimony. So every few days, you've got to have enough money to pay your wife the money that she wants as well. So there's
That
this
sounds
like
a bit bleak.
So you're constantly in this like cycle of like, well, I need to take bribes because I need the $100 from the mafia to then pay my wife's alimony.
Oh, kind of like Papers, Please. You know,
yeah,
sort
it
of
kind
managing.
of is like that.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
so it's
right.
kind of like that moral compass of what do I do in any given situation to get the money I want.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant game.
Sounds like a sort of new style of depressagotchi.
Depressagotchi.
And you can
TM.
rewind time.
yeah. Nobody used that.
But no, it's just really fun. Like I think you definitely enjoy it. I think we all would.
I'm really
actually.
intrigued. Yeah, I'm in for that.
So is it the same street every time? It's always those 10 screens.
It's
They
always the
develop
same.
over. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, eventually more and more stuff starts happening, like the war between the mafia and the gang starts escalates and stuff, and you get more murders. Like in one early bit of it, a murder happens and you have to go and there's like loads of people around. You have to like interview the witnesses, and they're all like, "I'm not telling you anything, man," and all this kind of stuff. And then in the end, like there's like a white outline where the body was, and you've got to call it in. And then like the ambulance, they like the paramedics turn up and all this stuff, and you can talk to them.
Yeah.
And then like say you book a car and get it, you can either elect to get it towed, so then you can call in the tow trucks, and it's just like there's just so much constantly going on. It's all against the clock, so certain things you've always got the watch in the bottom left of the screen,
right?
And certain things you'll be told, like someone will ring you up and they'll be going, "Oh, this thing's happening." Like there's a poker game going on at 2:00 and stuff like that, and you can go to that apartment for the poker game if you want to at 2:00. But if you miss it. If you miss it, then obviously you've then lost that chance to do that day. And there's loads of like time things happening like that all the way through the game. And so your beat always ends at about 5:00 or whatever. So you've got that sort of certain amount of time to get through the game. Then the next morning always starts. You're back in the police station. They tell you your main objective that day. What it might be to arrest 5 people or book 5 cars, or there's just like loads of different things going on. Like one of them was that this Russian guy had turned up from a police station on like an exchange with the American police station. So they took an American policeman. You ended up with this Russian guy. Then all he wants to do is go to the locals, like obviously all based on stereotypes.
Right.
So all he wants to do is go to the local boozer and get drunk, and
okay.
then he gets tanked up and aggressive, and you've got to try and like wrangle him from one place to the next. It's just really fun.
That sounds interesting.
No, it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's been out on Steam for a little while, but it's new to Switch this week. But yeah, definitely one to look
Okay,
out.
how long is each sort of day? How long does it take? A couple minutes?
Yeah,
or?
10 minutes or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so you
Like a pick up and play.
Yeah,
type.
it's been great for the trains. Yeah.
That's actually really good for the trains, isn't it? Because you could probably do like 3 or 4 days and then just put it down and like. And
it's quite intense.
Get home to your missus.
You're,
Can I talk about it? I'm undercover.
It's
the job.
It's going to take bribe.
And it's full of that. Yeah, it's brilliant. Like really good dialogue, and you can talk to your fellow policemen. They're all like hard boiled.
Yeah, it's like an Irish one who's like, "Oh, I remember when it was."
Yeah,
like this.
I was wondering where you're going to go with that for a second.
Nothing offensive.
And he's going to do an accent.
There's one female cop who, there's always like a bit of like rivalry for her affections and stuff. So it's always like that. Yeah. But no, it's a really really fun game. I've been enjoying it. It's one of those games that you think about. Like when you're not playing it, now I'm talking about it. I'm like thinking, I need to, yeah.
So it's not persistent. It's not like the world just stops when you turn off.
Oh yeah. When you,
so it's not like you do like a load of days and it all goes to absolute.
No, you can rewind. So if you really mess a day up and it doesn't go the way you want, you can replay that day.
That's quite a nice feature, isn't it? Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, that does kind of limit the impact of what you're doing. It's like, I could just rewind it if I mess it up.
Well, I've not been rewinding, actually. I've just been letting it run because a bit like with Devil May Cry on, completely different, but it's fun to just run through it and see what happens in a way. So I've just been letting it go. I think game over is when you can't pay the alimony to your wife anymore.
Go straight to jail.
Yeah, well, because I think it's some weird thing, but like the head of the police has got some relationship to her or something, so he's like on your back.
Intriguing.
So yeah, anyway, yeah. So you've been playing an oldie, well not an oldie, but like last year's.
Yeah, last year. It's not like kind of from the 70s, not Pong or something like that. But yeah.
Celeste, yeah.
This was actually really, I don't think it was anybody put it as best game, but it was very highly rated. Particularly I think like IGN and like a few others gave it, I think, near perfect scores actually.
Yeah, I think that IGN did give it 10 at the time, and it won some awards, not for like game of the year, but I think it won awards for best platformer and things.
Yeah. Best indie game, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's by Matt Makes Games, so I think there was a small team of like there's about 3 or 4 of them or something like that. And it's a pixel art platformer, but the kind of shtick of it really is that it is ridiculously precise and difficult. It's talking like pinpoint accuracy jumps, sort of chained together with different moves. And the idea is like it's kind of every level's a puzzle, so you just got to work out how to do it. So you're supposed to die loads of times because you're working out each time. I can just about make that from here. I've got like a tiny little millisecond. And what's great about it is it's like you come into level first and you try it and you're like, well, there's no way I'm going to do that. And you keep trying it, and then you get closer and closer, and the bits that you struggled on, you get easier, and eventually you just nail it, and it's so satisfying. Like you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that.
It's as giddy as a schoolboy.
Yeah, as giddy as a schoolboy. It's like, I'm on the train like, oh my goodness, guys, guy snoring in front of me. Look, wake up. So it's like it's got that kind of sense of like progression, and it is mercilessly hard. I mean, like you do have to really buy into it, and if you struggle with platforms that are a bit tricky, I wouldn't try this, because you really have to put the time in. And
it's kind of like Super Meat Boy and N Plus. Do you remember those games?
Yeah. It just takes no prisoners basically. It's like it won't kind of make it easy. There is a kind of like assist mode, but I've not tried that. I don't know what it's like, but I assume that gives you a bit of like help or something like that. But if you're going to play the game, you might as well play it like as is. So I'm about third way through. I'm really enjoying it. It's got a cute little style. It's like the story is basically Celeste is climbing. Well, no, you play a character which you can name, but the character is climbing the mountain Celeste to get to the top for some reason. But it's got some cutesy characters. It's a bit quirky. It's a bit different.
It's supposed to be quite like dark in a way. It's almost a study on psychology, isn't it? And depression and stuff. It's like the actual kind of subtext of the story, from what I understand.
Yeah, because she doesn't know why she's climbing the mountain, but she needs to climb a mountain, and it kind of has these little vignettes.
It's like a metaphor.
It is like a metaphor. She has these little vignettes where she's talking to a family, and you don't know whether she's dreaming it or not. And I obviously haven't got that far way through, and I don't want to spoil it anyway. But there's definitely more to the story, and the dialogue's really snappy. Actually, it's really funny. It's got there's actually some real quite amusing moments where she's having backwards and forth with the other characters and stuff like that. So I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's actually it is brilliant. I mean, I think it probably, if I played it last year, it would have definitely knocked onto my top 5. Yeah, it
is one that I totally meant to play and buy. I just somehow never got around. So many games, games, never get a chance.
And then the other game
on my watch list.
It's a massive in the speedrun community. It's like pretty much up there with Resident Evil 2 and like the Mario games being the ones that everyone wants to get the speedrun crown in.
I've seen some of the tool assisted ones where basically they just get a computer to do it, and it's insane because that's doing it absolutely perfectly, and it just and you're like, what the heck just happened there?
And no one would be able to do that.
Well, they said that about the Mario one though, but someone did match the machine Super Mario World record and then better it. I think.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Just 2 other quick things I was playing. A lot of Overcooked 2, and also I finally played 2-player Captain Toad, which is actually excellent. And the way you play it on the screen is basically you can both sort of spin the world, so you can both do it, but you have to coordinate. So if you're playing with someone who's a bit clumsy, they can get lost very easily, and it is a little bit clunky. So you've got to basically decide okay, who's moving and who's moving the world, and then you've got to kind of coordinate what you're doing, because otherwise it gets a little bit like, where am I, or I'm lost or stuff like that. But yeah, it's really good fun. It's it's a great game anyway.
So you got
playing
extra.
sorry.
I was going to say there's extra missions on that. So
That was the exact question I was going to ask.
They're not out, the demo's out. They're not out. I don't think.
There's one, isn't there?
Yeah, you can play the demo, which I played, but you can't. I don't think the full chapter comes out for a while yet.
Okay. So the co-op is the old missions.
Yeah, well, the whole game's now co-op.
Okay.
You can play the whole game in co-op with Toad and Toadette.
That could be good actually. I might see if
Yeah.
the old Erin Dawes wants to have a go with that.
I think it's fun. You know, it's pretty easy, accessible. Like, you know, it's a good game. I think it's a really good game.
Cool. That's it for what we've been playing then, I guess.
Oof.
unless any more for any more. No,
that's it.
Cool.
25 minutes.
I
About
know, yeah. Well, there's no quiz this week, so I didn't want to subject you on your own without
right.
Jack being
Yeah,
here. Just
well,
say
Ganging up on you.
I would have failed.
Jack hasn't been escorted off the premises. He's just otherwise engaged today, so he's not here. Okay, let's skip through some of this news then. So there's a lot of stories without any overarching big story, I would suggest here. But the PS4, so obviously the Vita has been.
I just love the way you create the news. Like, I just imagine like BBC News going. Look, there's nothing much here today.
Well, you know.
So if you want to flip off, like, go for it.
Nothing makes the grade.
If you want to flip to another channel, go for it.
So the PS4, so the Vita has kind of ended now. Sony have stopped making it essentially. So with that device's demise, the PS4 doesn't really have anything to remote play with anymore. So apart from PCs, I think you can do it with that. But they've made it so you can do it with iPads and iPhones.
Yeah.
Not Android devices so far for some reason.
So it's only iOS.
Just iOS.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
However, like so it's one of the Vita's coolest features that you can remote stream to the Vita. But with this, they've made it on-screen controls, which is kind of not what I want. Yeah.
Oh.
So you can. The ideal of this situation would be that you can put your iPad propped up on a table and then stream the thing with your analogs, your DualShock in hand.
Okay.
But you can't do that. You have to use the tablet like that. on the screen.
That's bad.
Does it work with like the controllers? Because you get those third-party
I don't know.
controllers.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, even so, I don't think it's going to be the most elegant of solutions. So they've almost got as close as it would be to have like an amazing, almost like you could make your own PlayStation Switch ultimately, because it'd be like a little tablet that you can then play.
Yeah.
But they've made it as difficult as possible to do that. So.
And the app's got some pretty iffy reviews
Well,
on iOS store.
Although it's only new, so
It'll take
But a lot of
a bit
people-
of time to get the bugs out. So
A lot of people are talking about the same sort of issues with connection,
Sound and stuff,
sound, controller. So they've definitely got to do some bug fixes on that, really. And also, I noticed that when I was looking around for it on Google, that actually there's a lot of search volume for where's the Android app. So it's clearly people are like not happy about that, like, which is understandable, isn't it? Really. But yeah, it just feels like with those guys, it's always like half a solution, isn't it? It's always like whenever they go beyond the console, it's always sort of half a thing, or like then they ditch it, or it doesn't work. They're not great at doing these sorts of things, are they? Like,
I'm never quite sure why they don't make it compatible. They did the same with the Vita. You couldn't just put the Vita propped up and then play with the control pad. You had to use the Vita controls, which meant that you had to use like those back touch pads to be like R3 and L3 and stuff. It's just not very good.
and they made such a song and dance about that, didn't they? It's like, it just feels like if you're gonna do it properly, and that's what you can always get with Nintendo. Is like there are always things that they just don't do, but whatever they do, it's always pretty decent, isn't it?
I'd argue against that with the app, the online app, where you have to use that as your chat
that's
function.
True. Although they've dumped that now, haven't they? I think now games now can just bake it in since Fortnite.
Yeah.
The other weird thing of this, of course, is that Sony make Android handsets. Not Sony, not iPhones, and yet they've made it so they can't use it on your own device.
Yeah,
a little bit weird.
The latest Xperia, like, I think you can get PlayStation Now on, but you can't play it though, can you?
It's really odd. Anyway, moving on from that, so talking about Nintendo and their track record with stuff. So they have announced the VR Kit Labo, which basically turns your Switch into a Google Cardboard style. Strap the Switch to your head. Basically.
How many YouTubers are you reckon are going to be making fun of that by just sellotaping?
I don't really. I mean,
or a Wii U controller.
what interests? So this costs $80 for the cardboard kit of this. There are more than just the VR. There's other bits you can do. Yeah, there's different lenses. But really, more than just the few mini games you get with it. It's like what other Nintendo games might they make work with this? So you could use with the steering wheel that came out with Labo, you could use Mario Kart. You could play Mario Kart with that.
First-person Mario Kart.
Which is really good. So yeah, will they make, Pokemon in first person, or they could do. I was trying to think of like the perfect Nintendo game for this. Metroid Prime would be pretty good. You could look into Metroid Prime. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of just an extension of the Labo concept, isn't it? Because I mean, from some of the images, you've got somebody's got like a telescope or something attached to it,
like a kaleidoscope.
I think there's going to be little bits of software as a kind of it is very much a toy, isn't it? And that was the same sort of thing as the previous Labo stuff.
It's the same with Google Daydream and Google Cardboard as well. Like it's never really massively taken off, has it? And that's something you can just use with your smartphone. I just think VR's not a done deal really yet, is it? It's not quite kicked on.
Well, the trouble with this style of VR is it's nothing as good. It's nowhere near as good as even the PSVR is but it's price points, isn't it? And anyway, that's a whole different discussion. Yeah. Not for the news, I don't think. Moving on swiftly, because we have got a few things to talk about here. So there's a new Xbox apparently on the way, the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. Oof. Going to fly.
The old age.
Jamie, what do you want for Christmas? The Xbox One S All Digital Edition.
The LED.
So this is supposedly coming out in April, May. It's the long speculated discless Xbox One S, which means that retailers are going to be freaking out because you can't put discs in this anymore. Ages ago, they were saying there'd be like a workaround for you could basically take your existing physical games and get codes based on the ones that you were taking in, but I've not seen any. There's not really any more information about how this is going to work. So would anyone upgrade to this from having the one with the disc drive?
Well, when the Xbox One was first announced, and the idea that they were wasn't the idea of shutting down the exchange market by saying that you put your disc in and it would read it and then you would no longer need it, type thing.
Oh yeah.
When it was first unveiled.
I wonder if that is maybe an evolution of this or that. Sorry, that it detects what games are on your account and that you have the disc, and then suddenly it will then allow you to play it.
But then what stops you? I suppose maybe it wants
a friend's disc in there.
The way around that, maybe it would need the disc once every 20 times you use the game or something like that.
Chip and pin, contactless.
Yeah, well, why not? Maybe that is the future.
I think this will only work.
But then it doesn't have the disc drive.
Yeah, so where?
What are we talking about?
This will only work if it's small and it's cheap. Because otherwise, why would I get an all-digital version of the Xbox when I can get an all-digital version of the Xbox with a CD attached, CD tray as well? So what? I mean, unless it's really cheap, or there's they're doing it with a free Game Pass bundle.
Yeah, it'll probably be Game Pass based.
I just can't see how this is going to work, and especially not with that title.
It could be they're testing the water for what the Xbox's next
Xbone
2. What the next Microsoft console is going to be, because they must be in two minds at the moment about what. No, not in two minds, because they've clearly probably already developed it and prototypes and everything. But
they should call it the next box.
The next box.
Next box.
But yeah, it makes me wonder if maybe they are thinking we can have one SKU of the next Xbox and it doesn't have a disc drive and we just move on from discs. Maybe
it all feels a little bit like sort of chucking things in the dark, trying to work out what kind of works.
It kind of feels like we've been here before as well. I swear there've been other sort of things.
Well, there was the PS Vita, no PSP, was it? The PSP Go a long time ago was just
and the Link box or something. Was that? No, PlayStation TV.
Yeah, it's which was the Vita, but like a little console.
Yeah, and the Steam box obviously still is. It's basically this, isn't it? Really, So I think the thing is we've got the context. We've obviously got the Google GDC, which I think is next week. This week? No, next week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a week today, I think, basically.
So Google's going to GDC, where there's high rumours that this new project, whatever it's called, will be a Chromecast-like device that's a streamer of games. There's rumours of Amazon. There's rumours about Apple. Apple's got. Have you seen? It's got its event for 25th of March, which is basically it's showtime. So they're supposed to be releasing their
new Apple TV.
Apple TV with a subscription service, so their Netflix rival. Maybe a big part of Apple TV is also games, so maybe they'll do a games service at that time. It's strongly rumoured, and maybe a new iPod which is kind of designed as a Switch competitor. So they may start like a this market could like really quickly open up. I bet if I was Microsoft, I'd be thinking, shall I wait through E3? Or maybe not.
Unless this is kind of like a swan song, it's a case of like, right, we're getting ready for the next box 2 or whatever it's called, and that this is something that can be used as backwards compatibility, because Xbox make a big song and dance about new games that are coming to backwards compatibility. Yeah. That all of this is just sort of like, right, it can all your old stuff can be in this digital, streaming only type format. Yeah. And then the next stuff is coming, and it'll have a disc, and I don't know.
You have to assume that the next Xbox will be backwards compatible because they've made such a massive thing about backwards compatibility with all of the other Xbox games that they already are. It's very confusing.
It's already confusing, and all we've got is a rumor and a name. So it's like.
So we've got the One X, we got the One S, we got the One Ali Digital, and then
Ali Digital.
In a few weeks, we'll do our E3 preview, and it'd be really interesting to try and guess what the next Xbox console is going to be called. Actually, so we should all do that.
I assume you've booked all our first class flights.
Oh well, no expenses spared.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to that actually.
Battlefield 5 is also going to be at some point soon getting its Battle Royale mode. So there was a weird leaked kind of tutorial video where they were like, and then I think they basically like took it down really quickly, but obviously these things have been preserved now by websites, so you can watch this tutorial video. It's called Firestorm. So it's no classes, so it's not like the hero shooter of Apex Legends. It's just everyone's on the same even keel. There are objectives still, so you can do squad-based, solo, or duos. But within that, there are still objectives to complete. So you can like crack safes and stuff, and it means that if you get the right combination, then you get vehicles and extra power-ups and stuff.
Right.
And then also, which is a little bit controversial for a battle royale, when you've been downed by like in Gears of War style, you can shoot still. So usually in these games, you can fight back when you've been downed. In Apex, you've got a shield that can absorb some bullets, so you can defend yourself, but you can't shoot back. Whereas in Firestorm, you'll be able to actually shoot people from a downed position until your sort of time limit runs out and you die and you snuff it, unless someone saves you.
Last stand type thing.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is you have to obviously own Battlefield 5 as far as anyone's aware to play this game, so they must be looking at this now because it's EA obviously like Apex as well, so they must be looking at going, okay, well, how do we really get this out the door in the best way possible to give it the best run?
After Anthem and Apex, they must know roughly a good strategy.
They've had the yin and the yang, haven't they?
And the good, like get near this end, so. But yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, doesn't it? I mean, like if you were Battlefield needs to be in that space, doesn't it? It's like Blackout's still doing pretty well, isn't it?
It's really hard to know the numbers. They don't shout about. So like Apex is doing so well that they keep coming out like 50 million registered players and that. Whereas with Blackout.
I always
want to call it Blacklist, like the Splinter Cell game. With Blackout, because it's something you have to buy, it's they're less forward with the numbers. But we were talking about this recently, that there's probably two splits here to this, isn't there? There's like games that you pay for, and then games that are free. Because it's not really fair comparing the stats of a free game to a paid for game.
Yeah,
it's a bit like Overwatch and Apex. They're both hero shooters, as they're sort of known. But you wouldn't necessarily expect Overwatch to beat Apex. You have to pay £40-50 for Overwatch. So I'm
wondering if at one point Overwatch is going to be made free to play.
Well, probably
to compete with Apex.
I think they probably already need to have done that. Really,
it feels like it's been out for ages, hasn't it? Or a couple of years.
EA's really stolen a march with Apex. I think it's probably taken an even Epic by surprise of just how the appetite for that style of a game. There's a bit more serious looking, a bit more like futuristic looking, and obviously the graphics in Fortnite are really good, but the cartoony style versus the realistic style, some people like one and not the other.
Because there was also another story this week, wasn't it, that From Software's looking at the Battle Royale space.
I don't understand.
And apparently they're pretty serious about it by the look of it, because they've got Sekiro coming out soon. Must be really soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's next
week after next.
So it's possible they'll 22nd?
Be looking.
Yeah, that might be right.
Can you imagine how brutal that game would be if that came out, Well,
it'll be kind of like, was it For Honor tried to make a multiplayer brawler, essentially fighting game. I wonder if you could do something like that, but Battle Royale. For Honor should be doing it, I guess. You pick up your different swords and
You'd have to
shields.
retain the sense of kind of like parry, strike and parry. Like people couldn't just run and gun in the kind of vertical commas in this game. Well, whatever game it will be, but
thing is,
they'd have to be replicate the From Software shtick, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Really?
Dark Souls doesn't control fluidly enough to allow for like really intricate swordsmanship, though.
Sekiro might, though.
But
Yeah,
Sekiro,
Sekiro
it's
does.
faster, and it's also like there's a vertical nature to it because you use your grappling hook thing, don't you?
That's
And,
true,
like,
yeah.
so that potentially might work. Maybe they've got something up their sleeve.
Well, the other thing they do have up their sleeve is what's it called? The mech game. Armored Force, or what was it called? The old From Software
Armored
mech
Core?
game. Armored Core, that was
Yeah.
it. So they do have that up their sleeve.
That would be
too.
quite a cool
That's interesting.
idea
Yeah.
for a battle royale.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
Mech one.
they also actually mentioned in the same shout that they wanted to do a game as service as well. So again, I can't imagine what a From Software Destiny type game would be.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's it.
You got to worry about them spreading themselves a little bit thin.
Yeah.
like, you know.
But they're riding high at the moment, aren't they? So.
Yeah, that's when you're at the most vulnerable, isn't it?
That's
Like
true.
because you think you're untouchable, isn't it?
Speaking of E3 predictions as well, just you've got to imagine that Ubisoft will have For Honor 2, and it will be this 100-player battle royale. You've got to, that's
That's a
I'll
sure
make
thing.
a note of that for my
Yeah.
prediction.
That's your prediction, is
That's
it?
your prediction out the gate. Division 2 is about to ship as well, isn't it? It's pretty much gone.
That is potentially Friday. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, we will have some of that to talk about next week, actually. And then this last thing, Wrath: Aeons of Ruin. So this is a Quake engine, original Quake engine shooter, but however with the caveat that it's been scaled up and really improved.
Yeah.
From 3D Realms, who published Duke Nukem back in the day, and it basically just looks like Quake all over again, but with slightly cooler, newer graphics. But it does look like a load of fun. It's definitely a game which is harnessing the power of history to try and rejig a bit
of a throwback.
Yeah.
But there was another game, I think it was called Dusk. Have you seen any about that? It looks exactly like original Quake.
Okay.
I think it was built in the Unity engine, so it's very much again heralded as being this massive throwback that people are loving.
Yeah. This is like this new, like there's the pixel art things happened, and everyone's like really wants to get all the old style of games back, and this is like the next one where I suppose people who grew up in the Quake era will hark back to this era like we think about pixel art games in a weird way. So
it does look cool because you can get this really sort of dark aesthetic from this sort of like low resolution type game. I mean, it's going to be high resolution, but the sort of the way these blockier textures,
Muddy texture.
but in 3D.
Yeah.
It's
Aeons of Ruin is a bad name.
Aeons of Ruin.
Aeons of Ruin.
Aeons of
Well,
Aeons of Ruin.
no surprises that it's got like a rock and roll, like hard metal soundtrack and everything.
Oh god.
Okay, I think that was a lot of news, but I think we've got through it. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oof.
Excellent.
Phew.
Good work. So on to this week's listener tweet from Tim in London. He says, do you think, and this is one for Luke,
Oh.
definitely.
All right, well, I'll just go.
Do you think Niantic's new Harry Potter Wizards Unite will match the success of Pokemon Go? Andy, what
I think
comment?
Andy
Look at
needs
me.
to field this one.
I have literally no idea. I did watch some of the videos.
Yeah, some of the sort of like first impressions and quick look type things have come out for
It's
this.
quite interesting. I mean, like it kind of augmented reality, same sort of scenario, isn't it? But
I think it's trying to expand on the gameplay a little bit because I mean, Pokemon Go is simply running around. There's a Pokemon, I'll catch it. I'll try and take over this gym. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Whereas this seems to be apparently it's based around some sort of calamity has happened. So anyone with the game is a wizard. Anyone without is a Muggle.
Oh.
So basically, you have to walk around and you encounter like different things. So whether or not that's capturing a creature or fighting a Death Eater, and then you've got to do lots of things.
Right.
I think you have to sort of collect up winning these encounters to then something happens. I don't know.
Right.
But I think with the popularity of Harry Potter and
Yeah.
the fact that Niantic has built up quite a fan base from Pokemon Go, I think this is going to be massive.
Yeah, you can totally see it, can't you? I mean, like, the Potter fans are pretty loyal, aren't they? For I was trying to think of the word. Or
polite
was
word.
I?
Desperately searching.
I was going, just go on, don't sound rude.
It's canonical as well, apparently. The storyline kind of takes
Happens
place
after the main series
Right.
books, but before the Cursed Child.
Yes,
Okay.
which is that's kind of interesting.
You've lost me on that one. I think.
Have you worked out if it's gym based? Like, do you have to go to a place like you did in Pokemon Go?
I think these sorts of I'm not sure. I think it might be that some special encounters are based on like certain locations that people will congregate and gather to, but I think other sort of random encounters will happen as well.
Okay.
It just looks like it's got more meat to it than Pokemon Go. Because I remember playing Pokemon Go, it was fun, but then you're just like, well, there's not much more for me to do unless it's just capturing more and more and more and more Pokemon.
Weirdly, I think that game has now been transformed quite a lot, and there's a lot more to do than ever used to be. But it never enticed me back because I just got a little bit bored with it.
Yeah.
This game reminded me weirdly of the Wonder Book. Like remember the Harry Potter?
Yeah, because you got that spell thing you got to do.
I was like, wow, it looks like if we've just taken the Wonder Book tech and just gone, right, let's just stick it in Pokemon Go.
Are you doing when it's got the spell on screen? Are you moving your phone in that shape, or are you tracing your finger?
I'm not sure because I have seen. I mean, I've only seen these sort of cutscene things where somebody has you have to line up these shapes and then trace something.
Yeah.
I wonder if that you are going to see lots of people going.
Because
around on the street.
Surely that is because they're presumably trying to make it so that your phone is the wand from Harry Potter.
But maybe it's got that because there's a book, isn't it, where they go after beasts, isn't it? The one,
the film.
The film.
Fantastic Beasts.
Do they actually go and capture beasts in that?
Not really. I think. I think in terms of the film, it's just there is a person who is a big fan of all these beasts. Scaramanga.
I was thinking
and then other things, wizardy things are happening.
But I thought thinking that might have that the find them element that worked well in Pokemon Go, because that's what people liked, isn't it? They travelled places to go and find these rare Pokemon.
I think there is going to be. I've seen in some of the screenshots, I've seen beasties.
There's like a kind of like a sticker book where if you see it, I don't know if you actually capture it, but if you encounter it, you get like the picture of it and the description in your whatever they call it, like your wizard sticker book,
And then you give it a pasting.
Well, no, I'm not sure if you have to fight them or not. You have to fight the.
I think after the encounters, you do something on the encounter, then you get the sticker in your book. Yeah. And then I wonder if there's going to be some sort of overarching goal for everyone, because I think there are 3 different classes. I think there's a professor, which is based on being in Ravenclaw. You should know this, Andy.
Right.
There's there's like a zoologist or a wizarding zoologist based on Hufflepuff.
Right.
And there's an aura based on being Gryffindor. Nothing for Slytherin just yet. So
they'll be the evil ones.
They are going to... maybe you can choose to be part of Voldemort's gang.
Oh, you could go on the dark side of the Potter universe.
I don't know. I'm just saying that. But
but do you think we'll see people in swarms?
I reckon there might be the same type of thing when you hear about people gathering in Central Park or something because someone saw a rare Pokemon. I reckon there's going to be a similar type of thing happen with this because again, Potter fans are many.
It will be interesting to see. It's not coming out for till basically the summer 2019. They've said so. Maybe 2 or 3 months. So it makes sense to wait for the summer because you might as well wait till it's not throwing it down with rain like it has been today across in different countries. But I'll be genuinely. I think I'll watch this one from a safe distance on Pokemon that I got stuck into.
I'm going to dive in.
Good. We need someone to talk about.
I mean, you forget how ridiculously big Pokemon Go was at that stage. I mean, I remember being in the in editorial meetings at work, and it's just like, right, how can we get a Pokemon Go angle on this? And I was like, well, it's got nothing to do with that. Surely there is a Pokemon Go angle.
The best phone to buy for Pokemon Go.
Yeah. I'm like, look, just. You can't.
They're like, Andy, download Pokemon Go. Play it now.
I don't want to play it. I'm waiting for the Harry Potter one.
There is a Ghostbusters one which has come and gone, I think, without anyone really caring about it.
This is the problem, isn't it? I mean, you catch a lightning in a bottle with that, and then you try and extrapolate that to another franchise, and it sometimes just doesn't quite work. Yeah. Sometimes it is a lightning in a bottle moment, but
I think Harry Potter, if one does work, is probably this will be the one that can do it. Okay, let's move on to On the Record for this week. So, as we said at the top of the show, it's the 15th year of Monster Hunter, which is crazy, really. It's been so popular in Japan, and it's took a long time to get that same popularity across in the rest of the world. But I think with Monster Hunter World, probably just about managed it, hasn't it?
I think so, because that was the one that broke the franchise open, should we say. Even though there's been many before that. It's had a very sort of dedicated fan base, but I think Monster Hunter World made it much more accessible. It's still a very big and complicated game, but I guess slightly more accessible than it was.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with Monster Hunter World, and the fastest any % completion of Monster Hunter World is 5 hours, 18 minutes and 28 seconds, and was achieved by Moss TKM from Japan on the 10th of February 2019, as verified by speedrun.com.
Wow.
So according to howlongtobeat.com, a leisurely playthrough of Monster Hunter World's main story will take the player around 65 hours.
What?
So put that into contrast.
Wow. How?
What is actually the end of the game though? Do you have to just kill the last monster essentially?
I think there is a story
quests,
mode.
aren't there?
Yeah,
So
there are main
final
quest
quests.
lines, and then there are sort of alternative quest lines and stuff.
Right.
But to just do the main sort of story
yeah,
thread.
because this is any %, so he's worked out, or that I say he, I don't know if it was a he or she, but they've worked out how exactly to get through every mission that you have
As
to
quick
do
as possible.
as quickly as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
5 hours, that's a hefty amount of time to take to be working
I think
out.
it's these like really big RPGs that have speed runs. I just find it mind-boggling because you have to know every single minute of that 5 hours and 18 minutes and 28 seconds. You're just like, I have to know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
How many times have you played that as well? Like, must be thousands, wasn't it?
And I presume they're starting from. I know it doesn't really say, does it? But I wonder if they're starting from like a new game. So you're starting with no equipment.
Yeah.
So you've got to then craft whatever. Maybe you just go through without. They go through without crafting anything at all and manage to take out all the things we just do.
I mean, through skill.
themselves.
I mean, I suppose, but with Monster Hunter, because you've got to do so much preparation to take down the big monsters. If you are not leveling up your weaponry, and if you're just blitzing through, you won't have the resources to craft the weapons that do more damage to destroy. Take out the monsters quicker. So,
can I just do a breaking news?
Yeah.
This is actually Jack on WhatsApp saying that Google has confirmed it will show its games console and its service teaser at GDC next week.
Okay. So, roving reporter Andy on the scene.
Scoop comes in.
Have a little read and we'll come back to that in a minute.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you a question. So when you're playing a big RPG, what is your play style? Do you like to race through, or do you go for the 100%? Do you like to scour the map?
I'll tell you what my play style is. I'd like to do everything, but then I try to do that for like a few hours, get bored, and not play it ever again.
Yeah. Actually,
so you don't even like, no, I'm just going to do the main story. You just get bored.
My play style is it stays in the cellophane wrapper and just forms a stack.
I do have Witcher 3 still in its cellophane at home. It's
it depends really. I mean, like, if the game takes with me, so this is assuming that I've got into the game, right? And I kind of tend to, I like to explore and I like to be quite leisurely about it. I won't tend to rush it, and I'll tend to like really explore. So I just think like the last big
Fallout 4
was my
jam, wasn't it?
Was the big one that I put a lot of time into recently. And I just kind of explored the world, and I kind of would vaguely follow the main quest, but if I got distracted quite easily, you'd go off on a different side quest, and I wouldn't care about that. And when you come back to the bit, and before you know it, you put like 100 hours into something. You're like, whoa, how did that happen? But yeah, I won't. I just am the antithesis of the speedrun people. I just take ages, like absolute ages, and
slow
like
runs.
Yeah, slow runs. Who took the longest?
Yeah. Well, moving on. So the next one I've got here is most large monsters hunted in Monster Hunter World. On Xbox One is 6,689 and was achieved by Travis Berkmeyer, as verified by TrueAchievements.com on the 12th of March 2019.
Quite rare to get, assuming that's the person's name.
I hope,
an actual
potentially,
name.
Yeah. So Travis Berkmeyer's first played Monster Hunter World on the 29th of January 2018, completed it on the 22nd of March 2018, and has racked up a playtime of 1,143 hours, 46 minutes.
Wow. So how many days is that?
I like your question here about the highest play time. Sorry, I'm jumping
What's your highest
in.
play time?
But yeah, it's got to be on something like, for me, Sensible World of Soccer or something like that.
That doesn't really count, because that's different, isn't it?
How is that different?
On a single game that's non-sports.
Faster Than Light then of a more recent game, definitely on iPad. I must have put thousands and thousands of hours.
Because I was going to go all the way back to Sonic 2. Because you know the days when you only had one game for
growing
up, and just play it.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you've got so much time.
Yeah, you just sort of slog away at it for ages and ages and ages. And
That's
ages.
why for me now it's faster than light, because it's just something that even when something's on telly, you can just pick up and just sort of play it if you're bored by whatever's on telly. What about you?
It probably, I mean, most recently, it'd probably be Fallout 4, because I played all the DLC, played all the way through the main quest, and eventually just went, look, you know, I like you, but we're going to have to say goodbye now, and then sort of turned it off and said, right, I can't go back now.
So if you were to put Fallout 4 back on, would there be stuff for you to do in that world?
Basically, like, you go through all the DLC, I mean, this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's quite an old game now. But you get to the end of the DLC, and eventually you sort of beat the kind of Nuka World people, and then, like, well, in my playthrough anyway, because obviously it does change, they go, right, well, let's go back and, like, take back the whole of the Commonwealth. And I was like, at that stage, I was like, I kind of helped a lot of those people there, and, like, I don't really want to go and just kill them. And also, I don't really like you guys either. You're a bit annoying. And also, I kind of want to play something else. I like something
Just had enough.
I've had enough of the bugs and the bad dialogue and the falling over. So I just said that's enough. That's me done.
Yeah, sometimes you have to walk away.
You have to walk away, Mike.
It's a heroic
you
thing
know.
Speaking of walking away,
Oh, good segue.
no, I don't have a segue because I don't know. To transition into the tallest monster in Monster Hunter Worlds is the Zora Magdaros. So if measured from the lowest point to the highest point, the Elder Dragon is 257.64 meters tall, and is so large that it actually doubles as a location you can visit in the game. And that's according to data provided from Capcom.
That's very useful. Isn't it?
I was going to also ask you if there have been any games that have you been wowed by how big something is. What I've put in here, because I remember playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and the reveal of Arsenal Gear, spoiler alert, being this giant thing that you go into and it basically runs itself and it has like 27 Metal Gear Rays running around it. I was like, that must be massive.
Yeah.
But thinking into context now, it's probably not that big, but there we go.
Well, the Colossi instead of the Colossus aren't actually that big.
huge.
They're big, don't get me wrong, but they're not like, you know, there is, I think we do have various, the largest, I think it's...
Is it Kronos
in God of War?
God of War 3?
Kronos
That's
is
right,
big.
yeah. So, because he is, again, a level, essentially, that you're climbing him whilst you're fighting him.
There's
I remember that being super impressive back in the day when that first came out.
One of the Killzone games has a massive, like, huge hulking robot that you have to climb up and destroy, don't they? Like, I'm sure maybe it's Killzone 2 or 3, and that's quite huge. And I think there's a few games that have got kind of that big hulking battle thing that you've got to, like, basically get inside and then blow it up from the inside or something like that.
The whole sort of the Colossus climbing up a thing never really became... I thought that would have become like a gameplay, like, you know, regular recurrence, but it never really...
I think it did.
Zelda's got elements.
There was, because there's also, there's the Zelda, like the Divine Beasts.
Yeah.
And then you've also got, I think it was in Darksiders 2, that took a few leaves out of that book and had like really big bosses and stuff. So
there's a few big ones in the original God of War. You know, like there's the one where he's climbing up the...
That's in 3, where he's on the back of Gaia.
Yes.
And
Yeah, they're all in 3 because that's where the Titans are and they're all the big things.
But he does battle...
they're all big.
There's a few things he battles that are kind of big monsters in the other 2, I think. I'm sure there is. Like,
probably. It is killed a lot of big stuff.
Yeah,
maybe eventually
maybe
he'll fight the World Serpent at some point. That would be a big thing.
So moving on to the last one, bit of a topical one here, was the first Dante from Devil May Cry cameo in a Monster Hunter video game, and that is 2013's Monster Hunter Frontier G. The Monster Hunter Frontier G / Devil May Cry crossover promotion ran from December 11th to the 25th, 2013. In the game, Dante is a freelancing raster for some weird reason who could fight alongside players for a small payment.
I think raster is what they refer to in Monster Hunter as like the sort of classes and stuff like that.
Potentially.
I think.
Not like Rastafari.
Dante's Devil Sword and Alpha Armor would also later appear in Monster Hunter World in 2019.
It does, I've seen it. They just released the images.
I was going to ask if you had any favourite gaming crossovers. I was going to bring it back to Devil May Cry 5 because you can... One of the Devil Breakers you get is Mega Man's Mega Buster. which is quite fun because even when you're running around shooting it, your arm is out like that, kind of like Mega Man's, and when you jump, you kind of jump with both your hands in the air.
That's quite cute, isn't it?
So yeah.
The Witcher, like Geralt's been in a whole bunch of things, including Monster Hunter, possibly.
Oh yeah, I think
So he gets about a bit. I don't know, crossover games. I'm not really sure. But obviously, Smash, I suppose, is like the big
Smash
one.
is the ultimate in crossover.
Yeah, that's pretty much all crossover.
I think
isn't it?
seeing Sonic in Smash, was that Melee?
Melee,
no,
yeah.
Or was it Brawl? No, Brawl.
Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, there was Sonic and
Sonic's my
Snake.
guy. I played Sonic 2 to death. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. To be perfectly honest.
It's the kind of thing they offer it as like weird little DLC stuff, and I just never. By that point, I've exhausted the game, and I never then go back in just to play as like the character that they've whacked into it.
I can't think of anything else. No.
If they brought Axe Battler into something, then I'd be up for that.
Axe Battler.
Axe Battler.
Buttlucks.
Cool. That is the end of on the record, isn't it? We've let you off the hook this week. There is no quiz because I thought it'd be a little bit harsh when you don't know anything about games.
I mean, what are you doing here, Andy?
We should have done a Fallout quiz.
You just called me a trained freelance journalist, and now you say I don't know anything about games.
I'm
Didn't
joking,
say what you were a journalist
joking.
in.
Just because I'm bad at them.
I didn't want to subject you to it on your own. I thought it might break your morale, without Jack here.
Well, I would have won it, and then Jack would have felt like, he's been carried for the rest of these series.
But yeah, that is all the time we've got for this week. So thank you so much for listening. We are on YouTube, iTunes, all of those places, Spotify even, and anywhere you want to search on Android devices. Yeah.
All of your devices.
All of the places.
That's where I listen.
Yeah, Spotify.
Are we on Labo VR?
Yeah, one day. If you want to find us, just search GWR Gamers podcast, and you will find us in all our channels and guises. All right, I have been your host, Mike Plant. This has been Luke Wakeham, and this has been Andy Loughlin.
Hello.
Cool.
Goodbye.
Until next week, when hopefully we'll have our full complement back. You never know. All right, take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.